You'd think that you'd be able to make it through your adult life without having to go to the hospital via ambulance more than once. Not this gal. My cat. Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Kelly. Today's video is going to be a crazy story time video. I haven't done one of these in a while. I think the last one I did was either the one from when I was a dental assistant, the link is right there, and the other one is when I got scammed by one of those companies that advertise on Facebook and Instagram. That link is right there. So for this one, you'd think that you'd be able to make it through your adult life without having to go to the hospital via ambulance more than once. Not this gal. So on Sunday, I started to notice that I was feeling really awful, just really terrible. All like 70% female related and just gross. Then started to notice middle of the night, Sunday night to Monday morning, just super nauseous, just really nauseous and just cramping and just not nice. So I created an absence for work and started to notice that day that if I was walking, it felt like my knee was gonna start to buckle. I don't know if you've ever had that feeling where you feel like you take a step and it's a misstep and your whole leg is gonna come out from under you. That happens to me periodically. I've had issues with my left knee for a long time and saw an orthopedic surgeon, and he basically said, well, like osteoarthritis in that knee, really like severe or whatever, but basically you have old lady knee. That's not a technical term. So, and then what will happen sometimes, what I've noticed, like that's kind of like a warning sign for other issues that are gonna pop up. And so I didn't think too much of it. I was noticing it more as the day went on. And then Tuesday morning, when I went to go get into the shower, I tried to like lift my leg to bring it over into the bathtub. It hurt so bad, and I was like, how am I gonna move my leg? Like, how am I gonna? So I ended up like standing there and trying to just like press and move and guide and managed to get it worked out a bit. Went to work, was feeling so awful, like still because of everything, lady stuff, and just trying to make the best of it. Like I always try to be really smiley and friendly and happy and hello, and it's gonna be a 10 out of 10 day, which I'm sure a lot of people find very annoying, but anyways, so I was having a rough go of it, and then started to get like a crampy feeling in the back of my knee, like restriction feeling, and then went up to the front to cover my friend's lunch and was sitting there the whole time, not really, like when I'm at the back, usually I'm able to like get up and walk around a bit or grab something or go to the photocopier. I'm moving, right? For that hour covering her break, I was stationary. And then when all I went to do was lift my leg to cross it, and just the act of like trying to lift it and trying to straighten it, I was like, I can't straighten my leg right now. And it gave a shooting pain in the back of my knee, like somebody was stabbing me, and then that radiated all the way up the side of my leg into kind of like where your thigh meets your glute, like your butt. And I was like, oh crap, this is my IT band. Because that's what I was kind of thinking it was. And then I was like, yeah, that's because it's all just restricted and constricted, and it just wasn't, I couldn't move and I couldn't step and I couldn't move my leg to the left or to the right, forward, back, no body weight, nothing. I was stuck there on the second floor of the school board building in the front entryway, like the foyer where everyone comes, like the public and everything. So I'm sitting there and I'm like getting pain sweats. Like I'm starting to sweat because I'm in so much pain. And I don't know what to do. I can't think. I'm like starting to cry. There's starting to be like people that are just like either coming back from lunch or like going across to go to the washroom. And then my boss, the director of schools, comes. And I'm like so embarrassed because I'm like crying and I'm like trying to like shield my face. And but then it just got to the point where I was like, I can't even think straight. Like, I don't know. Because then another girl was like, well, do you want us to do this? Do you want us to do that? And I was just like, no. Cause I couldn't, I was in so much pain. I couldn't think. It was just like everything. And so, we were trying to decide if somebody would just take me home or if somebody would take me to the hospital. And already I'm processing in my mind, like, I can't even step my foot down. How am I gonna get down those stairs? Like, so then the suggestion finally came, well, we'll call an ambulance and they'll come and get you. And I'm like, no. Right? Like, it's for emergent care. Ambulance is for emergent care. We tried to use the elevator to get me down. It wasn't working. And so finally the decision was made and the call was made, and the friend that I'd covered her lunch, she was so sweet and called the ambulance. Everything was just such a blur though, because I was just like, oh my God, anxiety and stress and pain. And I was trying to be so chill. I was just trying to maintain the facade of everything was cool and everything was going to be fine and it was just going to get worked out. And then there's like more people kind of gathering in the area. And so I'm sitting in this chair that they've moved kind of like next to the doorway where people come in, but like so that I'm out of the way. And by then there's about like 10 people standing there and I've still got the pain sweats. And I'd already been in the elevator with a couple of other people trying to get me down. So I already had my mask on. So I'm sitting there with like my face full of sweat under this mask. It's giving me like traumatic memories from my time of dental assisting when I had to wear a freaking mask every single day. And now this is just like all that all over again. So I'm sitting there and out of her office walks the superintendent of schools. And I'm just like, embarrassing. I felt like such a moron. There I am sitting there in this chair waiting for the paramedics to come and take me because I can't walk. Like, so she's got the most cutest, beautiful mask on and it matches her outfit perfectly. She always dresses like, I love her tights. She's wonderful. So she comes over and kind of like, what's going on? And I was kind of explaining what had happened. And she said, I thought I noticed this morning when you were walking past that you looked, and I knew what she was going to say. So I'm like, I was walking oddly. Yes, odd. Because I was trying my very best to not show the pain face of the knife that was going in my leg and the knife in my knee every time I took a step. So anyway, then the paramedics arrive. They're both attractive. One of them was a bit more older than the other. And so the one that was near my age, of course, attractive. And I'm just sitting there with the pain sweats and just like breathing heavy, like just a disaster. But at that point, in that moment, I couldn't have cared any less. Like in retrospect, I'm like, oh, that's so embarrassing. So they're trying to get me in the elevator down and it wasn't working. So I'm standing there like with both these paramedics, one on each arm, close proximity. We've all got our masks on. Like it's a shit show. And he's like, we're gonna have to get the stair chair. And by this time we're out in the waiting area, and I'm like thinking, what's the stair chair? So I sit back in the chair and I'm waiting for him to get the stair chair. And it's just so deathly embarrassing because by now there's like 15 people in the waiting area. And I mean, I love all of these people. They're like my work family, and I love seeing them and saying hi every day. It's wonderful, but it's also just so brutally embarrassing to be sitting there. Anyway, so he comes back with this contraption that is like fold. It's like a kind of like a wheelchair, but there's no sides. Like there's just zero side protection whatsoever. So it just kind of flaps open, and there's wheels on it. And so he's like, so you're gonna get in there, and I'm just so I kind of crawled from the chair I was in over to this death chair, not a death trap, into the chair. So I kind of crawled over into the chair, and like I said, nothing on the sides, nothing to hang on to. So he's like, I want you to cross your arms across yourself, and then he puts this like white like sheet blanket around me, like tight, and then proceeds to buckle me with like 6 seat belts. Two thoughts went into my head. I was like, this is what it feels like to be in a straitjacket. That one I said out loud because that was fine to say. But the other thought I had was, this is when I legit die, because he's gonna carry me by this pseudo wheelchair, and like I'm pretty sure he and I weigh the same, and plus the weight of the chair, and he's gonna try to guide me down these stairs. I just imagined myself ass over tea kettle just going all down the stairs, breaking my neck, first fall down, and like certain death or life altered forever. So I'm like, I can't say no. I can't say no to the stair chair. Like, what else are my options? And so I'm just like, okay, well, I'm legit closing my eyes. Like, I'm legit closing my eyes. This is worse than being on that zipper at the fair. Remember fairs? So the zipper where you're in that little, but you're like totally encased in this metal cage compartment. And if you choose to, you don't have to, but if you choose to, you can rock it so that it feels like you're going forward. That's what it felt like. He's like, okay, I'm going to just pop you back then. So start rolling. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, this is like the zipper. I'm going to flip over and just go right down the stairs. And then I found out that the other gentleman was going to be catching, like he was going to be in front of me, in front of my legs, carrying it down. And I was like, okay, well then at least if like top guy, hot paramedic, let's go, then at least gentleman paramedic is gonna break my fall, right? So that's where I was at with that. And so we start to descend, and it's the slowest, most painfully slow descent. And I don't think I glanced up, but like it's all a glass wall. And so like all the 15, like just watching the slow descent of their coworker down the stairs. I was mortified. It was so embarrassing. So then they put me into the stretcher, and I'm realizing as they're getting me to put my leg out straight that it's like, this is killing me, like to have it extended. And so they prop it up under a pillow, and off we go into the ambulance. And luckily where I work is only like a very quick drive away from the hospital. So we got there. And one of the reasons that I did agree to go via ambulance is because a bunch of people at the office said, you know, if you arrive by ambulance, they're just going to bring you right in, and you're going to get to go right in. And so that's kind of why I was like, oh yeah, I could do that. That's better than me showing up in my car and being in the queue of like the people waiting to be seen. And so sure enough, they got me on the stretcher and they brought me right in to the emerge room once you actually finally get in after the waiting room. And so I could see it was gentleman paramedic talking to the nurse. I could tell immediately that she's like, we don't have any beds right now. She's gonna have to go back out to the waiting room. And because he's like, oh, I'm presenting with the whatever that we called in about, and I could just tell by her face. So he walks back over, and I'm like, oh, we're going out back into the waiting room, and he's like, yep, and then brings me out into the waiting room, still in the stretcher, and there's only like two people in the waiting room. So I was like, oh, okay, right, because like nobody's going really anymore because of the pandemic, and so they brought me right into. They put me in a wheelchair and brought me right into like the little triage area where they assess you, and so just kind of went over what happened, and then they got me registered, and I figured out how to push myself in a wheelchair. That was really cool. And so I'm sitting there waiting to get called in, and there's a gentleman sitting there, and then across the way, because they've got like all of the chairs removed from the ER, there's only like a few spaced out far enough for social distancing, physical distancing. And so she's across the way, and she has with her son who's special needs, and he's in like a push chair. So she's sitting there with him. All of a sudden, she starts saying, "Oh God, oh God," and I'm just like, what's going on? He's having a seizure. He's having help. So she's like saying and I'm recording this in my apartment, and my neighbors are gonna think that something real is going on. So I'm gonna just describe this as low key as I can. But she's getting more and more frantic, and I'm just trying to like send her calming vibes, like just it's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay. So, but honestly, from the length of time that she started yelling for help to the time that these nurses came over, it felt like forever. And she's like, he's having a seizure, he's seizing. And then she starts saying, he can't breathe, he's not breathing. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, this is happening right now. So I'm just like, okay, healing vibes. Like, let's get this contained. Like, let's calm. And then she's like, he's turning blue. And so they're at this point, they're like getting him in. It felt like forever, getting him into the emergency rooms themselves. And then she was like, he's dying. It was just, I felt so like, what could I possibly do in this situation? Absolutely nothing. That would be too many cooks in the kitchen. But it just felt so like stuff like that can just happen in an instant. It was so crazy. So they brought me in, and the doctor came in and she assessed everything and said, yeah, IT band. So she prescribed naproxen and also physiotherapy. And then my personal doctor called me yesterday morning and ordered an x-ray of the knee again because it's been a couple of years. So everything was good from the time I left the hospital because I was standing a lot. Like when I came home, typically when I come home from work, I've been sitting a lot during the day. So I stand a lot when I'm at home. So I didn't really notice any problems. And then of course, sleeping through the night, my legs were extended. I was finding that things were on par with where I was when I left the hospital. And then I sat down to answer a few emails and do like a couple of quick edits and stuff like that. And when I went to extend my leg to stand up again, it was exactly in the same spot that I was in the day before. It felt like it had just seized right back up, and that I couldn't extend it and I couldn't move it and I couldn't step down. So I was literally stuck right over there in the middle of my living room in front of my computer there for like 20 minutes trying to figure out like how am I gonna. So honestly, what I honestly did was I stood there and I just tried to just calm down and breathe for a minute because I was getting myself amped up again. Like I was like, I can't do this again. I already texted my boss and said I was feeling fine today, and this is gonna just like, I can't. And so then I just like calm. And so then I just, through the breathing, kind of tried to like palpate or feel around which areas were kind of like trigger spots, I guess. And then I was just kind of trying to softly like guide or manipulate, or I don't know, it just kind of came intuitively a little bit. And so I was able to kind of relax things a little bit and kind of hobble for a little while. As I am presently, I'm okay with standing. Stepping, I can do it. I feel like there's a knife in the back of my knee and in the side of my hip, but that's getting progressively better too. The moral of the story is I'm never not going to do yoga again. I think I said that right. Yeah. 2 or 3 months ago, I have been thinking to myself, and it's been nagging me since then, periodically, oh, I should be doing yoga again. I should be doing yoga again. Oh, I need to get back on with yoga. And now I know why I was thinking that all the time, because I would have totally been able to prevent all of this had I been doing that. And got more on the ball with being more active. It's been so difficult for me during this quarantine time because at least when I was at work, I was able to like walk down the hall. My coworkers know walk down the hall to go to the bathroom quite a bit during the day because I drink a lot of water.
Drink all the water, pee all the time.
But just being here in my tiny little apartment, like I have a 2-bedroom apartment, it's been hard to stay active. So I hope that everyone is doing as well as they can be doing with everything that's happening. And I wish you all well. Thank you for listening to my crazy story time. I hope you have the best rest of your day. You guys take care, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.